one is currently in international waters for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America.
A lot of it's due to Marco Rubio. I mean, he went down there and he charmed the Panamanians. He speaks his native language, and I read an account where they were amused by his Cuban accented Spanish.
You've just come from Panama, and you said that your meetings in Panama went well. After them, President Trump said that we're going to take the canal back, or something very powerful is going to happen.
China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama.
Americans died building the canal. Carter had no reason, or well, maybe he did have a reason, but no excuse to sell it back to him.
What are your thoughts on the United States wanting to take back the canal?
Oh, I have to go.
Give me your honest thoughts. One word.
Crazy.
What are your thoughts on Donald Trump?
Oh, crazy.
¿Qué es tu opinión de Trump quiere la canal de Panamá? ¿Bien? ¿Bueno o mal?
Malo.
Malo. ¿Por qué?
Porque pierde la soberanía Panamá.
The head of state is conservative. They use the U.S. dollar. So after Trump did all this, he was the bad cop, and they sent the good cop. But the good cop, as bad cop, good cop routine goes, doesn't contradict the bad cop. The good cop always says, look, I want to help you, but this guy, he's not going to bend.
The president's point is, we gave the canal in a treaty to Panama. We didn't give it to China. You come back 20 years later and you go to the canal, and on the entry points of both sides of the canal is a Chinese-linked company. In fact, when I was visiting there yesterday, the ship behind me, just over my shoulder, was a Hong Kong shipping vessel.
So let's find out what's best for you. And that's what he did. So he said, we can resolve all this very simply. Just go back to the spirit and the law of the Panama Canal Treaty. And you know what it is. I don't have to tell you. You don't bring in our most dangerous rival and plant China at the exit and the entry and then deny us preference. So we have 700 or 600 ships over there, and a U.S. warship's got to wait in line. So we want all the U.S. warships to come through with privilege, as was agreed upon, but we're going to add something. We don't want you to charge them any money. And we do not want you to go through with this remodeling, rebooting of the Panama Canal under Chinese auspices. So cancel the Belt and Road and renew your close relationship with us, and we'll be fine. And that's what they did.
Well, we didn't give the canal to China. I mean, it's a violation of the treaty. What I told President Molino yesterday was that President Trump's made a preliminary determination that that there's a violation of the treaty. You're in violation of the treaty because a sovereign other country, a third country, has effective control over the canal area.
¿Qué es tu opinión de los Estados Unidos y Trump generalmente? ¿Bien o mal? ¿O más o menos?
De Trump es malo.
Okay.
La gente de Estados Unidos muy buena.
Okay.
The Donald Trump is full.
Crazy?
Yeah, crazy.
What are your thoughts on Xi Jinping?
Oh. I'm not into politics. I don't care, yeah.
The Panama Canal was constructed between 1904 and 1914 by the United States, after they took over the project from the failed French effort. It officially opened on August 15, 1914. The U.S. controlled the canal until December 31, 1999, when it was handed over to Panama for $1 as part of the Torrijos-Carter treaties signed in 1977. This agreement gradually transferred control of the canal to Panama over 2 decades, culminating in full ownership at the end of the century.
And it brings up the larger issue that these aren't really tariffs. Tariffs are to protect an anemic domestic industry against unfair foreign competition. They can do that, but every one of them has worked. And apparently, based on his first term, these countries don't feel that they have to call his bluff, because they really haven't yet. Because they saw what happened in the first administration.
On Monday, February 10, 2025, President Donald Trump announced the imposition of a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports into the United States, effective March 4, 2025. This policy applies universally with no exceptions or exemptions, affecting major trading partners such as Canada, Mexico, Brazil, South Korea, and Vietnam.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
So who gets hit the hardest? Well, Canada, by far, which exports more than $8 billion worth of iron and steel to the US. It was only a week ago that Mexico and Canada thought they'd seen off a trade war with America after both countries agreed to increase border security in exchange for Trump delaying tariffs on all their exported goods. Yet here we are again.
So Mr. Trudeau whined and he went into his little cave and licked his wounds and said, oh, this is so unfair. Then he authorized $1 billion of border security, and he said he would address in bilateral talks this huge $50 billion trade deficit.
Tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum would be entirely unjustified. We should be doing more together, not fighting with each other, but Canadians will stand up strongly and firmly if we need to.
There's tariffs. That's obviously going to have an impact on our relations with them. We're still neighbors. We'll always be neighbors. Canada will always be our neighbor. Mexico will always be our neighbor. We can't move. You can't move to another neighborhood, right? So we're going to have to live alongside each other. And I hope we can find agreements. Again, we're the Department of State. We're the diplomats. So we're looking for ways to find things that are amicable. But I do think that neither Canada nor Mexico should make the mistake of thinking that this is bluster or that the president is just talking for purposes of negotiating leverage. He is serious.
Then Sheinbaum, in her machismo way, had to show everybody that she didn't bow to the Yankee dictator and all that crap. And then she quietly said, okay, I'll put 10,000 of our troops on the border like we did last time. You go ahead and build the wall. We won't call it racist. You can start bilateral talks to reduce the $170 billion deficit, which we have achieved not because we're more productive than you are, but we're assembling foreign supplied parts like Chinese, and we're building cars, computers, cell phone, everything here to get around your tariffs against China. And we know what we're doing, but we're going to try to reduce that, let you close the border so fentanyl cannot come so easily. We have to, if you don't tax the remittances, please don't tax the remittances. That's our $63 billion golden calf that we worship. We will close the border.
Mexicans living abroad, mainly in the United States, sent a staggering $5.69 billion back home in May. And this remarkable figure represents a significant 10.7% increase compared to the same period last year.
And then he went to the EU and he said, you have a $500 billion. And you know what you're doing. You're a mercantile organization. You act like you're liberal, but you're screwing us over, and I want you to reduce the tariffs on cars. I don't know if they're going to buy them or not. Every European I talk to says, when I ask them about this, always says they love American trucks, but they're too big and they take too much gas and they wouldn't buy them anyway if they were the same price. I don't know if that's true, but he's working on them.
I must also say that, of course, the European Union is prepared. So when it comes to targeted, unfairly or arbitrary responses, the European Union will respond firmly.
Japan's looking at this and said, oh my God, Toyotas and Hondas, and we wouldn't let American cars in. And even if we did, we have a cultural disdain, or I shouldn't say disdain, we have a cultural chauvinism for our own products. But so so the Prime Minister's promised to spend $1 trillion buying U.S. fuel and products, ag products, etc., and to invest in the United States, maybe with Nippon's steel, investing with U.S. steel.
As a result of today's meeting, which marked a new departure for the Japan-U.S. relations, I look forward to working together with President Trump, who I respect immensely, to usher in a new golden age of Japan-U.S. relations.
Maybe with Nippon's steel, investing with U.S. Steel. So that is going on. He's already had people promising another $500 billion investment. And it's all working. And what I'm getting at, Jack, is nobody's talking about it on the left. So they're swarming, as you pointed out, the doors of the Department of Education, while Trump is spending 20 hours a day trying to help the United States redress all of these lapses that have been going on for years. And we've been a big fat target and we've been ripped off. And he's right about that. And now he's making enormous progress in just 2.5 weeks. You think people in the Wall Street Journal would be happy, but when I look at the reporting of the Wall Street Journal, almost every article is negative. Almost every one. They said that tariffs this is dangerous. They were horrible. And then they just go silent when they're proven wrong.
Are you nervous about Trump's bold approach and how it might impact trade relations with key partners like Canada, Mexico, and the EU? Will this strategy strengthen American industry or spark a trade war? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.